Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the very first debut of the Saturday morning Walking This Way's Impact Voice podcast. I'm your host, Furman Jackson Jr. I'm the CEO and founder of Walking This Way's Impact Voice podcast. I'm very excited that we are live streaming right now. We're live streaming right now on Facebook. We're live streaming right now on YouTube. We're live streaming right now on Twitter as well. So we thank everybody for starting one out with us. I'm very excited to have my very special guest for the very first episode here on the Saturday morning edition. And I got to represent my Dallas Cowboys. For those who don't know, I've always been a Cowboys fan when I lived back home in Alabama. I know this is the new playoff hoodie. Representing the America's team. I know they're going to go up against the GOAT this Monday against Tom Brady and Tampa Bay. I know it's a must win for the Cowboys. I'm rooting for the Cowboys. I want to see Dak get a win under his belt, take us to the second round. Like I said, I'm pulling for the Cowboys. I got to represent the boys no matter what. Win or lose, I'm still representing the boys no matter what. And like I said, I'm very excited. I want to give a big shout out to everybody. I want to give a big shout out to the team that's not with me this morning. Big shout out to the Quan. Big shout out to my sister Shay as well. Big shout out to everyone who's been supporting the podcast. Big shout out to my other sister as well, Kiki Watch as well. Big shout out to her. She's out in the Fort Worth area. Like I said, man, we're excited. I'm very excited. I'm going to introduce my guest. My guest was born and raised in the South Bronx of New York City.
Yes, sir.
He's resident right here in DFW. My guest has over 20 years in law enforcement. He believes in progressive community policing. He is a leader. He's a visionary. He's running for sheriff next year for Dallas County. We want to welcome Rodney Thomas to the podcast. Rodney, thank you, sir. It's a privilege for you to accept this invitation, and I'm thankful that you're here. Just go ahead and introduce yourself. Give us a background about you for those who are getting to hear you for the very first time.
All right. Thank you so much, Furman, for having me on the show. We've been dialoguing for a few months to get this going. So definitely here. I'm definitely happy to be here, and let's get started. So I'm Rodney Thomas, born and raised in New York City, the South Bronx. Been in law enforcement over 20 years, and law enforcement is my passion. I started my career with the New York City Hospital Police in 1993, and it was rough working in one of the busiest and violent hospitals throughout the city, which was Lincoln Hospital. And afterwards, I went into the Federal Bureau of Corrections as a federal correction officer in 1995, working at MCC New York, and that was an experience in itself. And afterwards, I lateraled over to immigration in Miami, where I started doing gang intelligence. Started working with a lot of gangs doing high-risk overseas escorts. So I got an opportunity to do a lot of traveling around the world and throughout the cities. And I used to spend a lot of time in Dallas working temporary assignments. So Dallas was, almost a little bit of a second home during the late 90s. And finished off my career in 2017, went into corporate security. And unfortunately, I wanted to come back into law enforcement. Not unfortunate, but I wanted to get back into law enforcement because I started to see the culture of law enforcement changing for the worse, with all the use of force issues that we see on YouTube and so forth. I didn't want to just be an officer anymore. I actually wanted to be a policymaker where I can affect some type of change that would be meaningful and positive, not just for the officers that are working, but for the community as well. So I decided to take the plunge last year and submit my CTA to Dallas County elections to run for Dallas County Sheriff. And that was back January 18th, 2022. So I'm an official candidate for a little over a year now.
Well, congratulations on that. That's a big accomplishment in your career.
Thank you.
With that transition to being a sheriff. And I know you had like 20 years of experience in law enforcement. I know you're from New York City. I thought when I first met you, came across your social media, I thought you was here from Texas and South Florida. You're from New York City. And let me ask you this. I know growing up, we wanted to be police officers, and we used to play cops and robbers, or we had family that was in law enforcement. Your father was in law enforcement. We followed their trade. So has law enforcement always been in your family, or are you the first one in the Thomas family?
No, I have quite a few family members that retired law enforcement, retired corrections, and honestly, law enforcement wasn't on my radar when I was growing up. I played the cops and robbers and all of that good stuff, but my biggest thing was playing football.
Okay.
I love playing football. I played high school. I played college, and I played 2 years of semi-pro. And I love football. You couldn't tell me I wasn't going to the NFL. You couldn't tell me that I wasn't going to the NFL. And unfortunately, until I messed up my knee, and kind of just sidetracked me, and then I kind of fell into, actually kind of just fell into law enforcement, to be honest. And ever since 1993, I've been doing it ever since.
Man, that's a long time.
Yeah,
You're
sir.
all the way to 23
Yeah.
and still going strong. And like I said, with you having that experience and just really, and we have a lot, what I want to say, how stuff been hectic, from the Floyd incident
Hmm.
to the police brutality. So it's like all officers, no matter where you a correction officer, you're working inside the jail, or you're on outside the street, we all been labeled as being bad guys.
Right.
Just because we put that uniform on, we were known to protect and serve. And I know we got some bad apples within you law enforcement. Don't get me
We
wrong.
do.
But everybody's not bad. Everybody is about the book.
Mhm.
You got some who's not. But I know you mentioned that you want to change all that, and we know if they take strong leadership to be able to change all that, change the narrative, change the guard, that officers can have the right. Like back in the day, people were scared to shoot, even scared to shoot at the police, scared to shoot at any law enforcement
Hmm.
because they knew the consequence behind it. But now they can shoot an officer point blank, period, and don't have no remorse about it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, with law enforcement today, it's definitely the tides have changed. Um, and I believe law enforcement, we need to get back to the grassroots of policing. I believe that law enforcement should really start in the community. When we get out of the vehicles, we actually are talking to the community, interacting in a positive way where we're throwing the football around with the kids, playing basketball with the kids, actually sitting down with some of the community leaders, find out what their concerns are so we can make it a better, safer environment for the community just to sit outside on their porch, and we kind of lost that. And also, I feel obviously we need a lot more cultural diversity training in our academies. Um, One of the things I will do, once being elected for Dallas County Sheriff, being that we have our own police academy, I want to increase the training of the cadets in the academy, being that they go from 5 months to 9 months of training. The reason being I wanted to increase that training is only because I want them to have more cultural diversity training. Within the first 3 months that being in it, to get the cadets being in the academy, we're going to send them out on the road with an FTO, field training officer, for 2 weeks. Let them get to know the lay of the land, and then they come back, they debrief, continue on training, then come back again 6 months later. Now we're partnering our cadets with community leaders, so they get to see what the communities are like. So, for instance, we have a young man coming from Rowlett, from the city of Rowlett. Average household income is what, 90,000, maybe 100,000. Then you got multi-million dollar homes in Rowlett. Okay. Now we're asking this young man to come down to Dallas, South Dallas, off of Pleasant Grove, Oak Cliff, and police. That's going to be a huge culture shock for him or her. You understand what I'm saying? They don't have the same culture in Rowlett that we have in Pleasant Grove or in Oak Cliff and on the south side of Dallas. So we're setting our young folks up for failure if we don't properly train them. Because there's different cultures out here, and they need to know what cultures work with which. Like I have, there's a we play dominoes, right? We're very loud, right? And when we play dominoes, you hit dominoes, you win. You slam on you slam on the table, dominoes, whatever. But now, how would that sound to somebody who's never been exposed to that environment? And he's a police officer. he's going to take it more. He or she may take it as a threat, and then we may have another situation that we may not like. So I feel that we need to expose our young folks that are going to law enforcement. We need to give them the full spectrum of what they may be getting themselves into. So therefore, we increase the academy training, and we also increase their defensive tactics training, where they have more tools versus going to their firearm or to the taser. Basically, increasing their training to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, where they get to train a lot more effectively. They get to get comfortable fighting in ground situations, because no one wants to go to the ground in any type of altercation, especially a cop. But if you have to get on the ground with someone, you want to be confident that you'll be able to subdue the subject and also make the arrest. No one gets hurt. No one is getting choked out or anything to that matter. Because Brazilian Jiu Jitsu has proven to work. There's a department in Georgia. They decreased their use of force by 30% after they started progressive using Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and that's a huge number. 30% to decrease your use of force. Their use of force investigation. So the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu works. It's just a matter of how you use it. And we all seen from George Floyd's situation um, that it's actually something that we definitely need. So I feel that the more defensive tactics, but the defensive tactics works just to subdue the person a lot faster and give the officer a lot more confidence if they have to go to the ground with the person. So I know it's a lot to take in, but it actually does work.
I mean, yeah, because I know you want to protect the sheriff department, you want to protect the officers because we know lawsuits are
Yeah.
real, and we know that they will come out the woodwork
Yes.
just to
Yeah.
sue the sheriff department. And I know with you running for office and running for that particular office, you don't want to get hit with lawsuits on wrongful things. And it's kind of sad thing that when you want to vet your officers, you want to, okay, if I'm going to fight, give me something to fight with, as long as it's justifiable.
Hmm.
But then when you find out that, okay, they lied, now it puts a black eye on the sheriff department. So we know
Right.
integrity plays a main role. How, what about cleaning all that up, like you said, the proper training, not going over excessive force, because like I said, lawsuits are real, and just takes one bad decision that causes our livelihood.
Well, I personally, everything I do is about accountability, integrity, and pride as well. Um, we have to be extremely transparent with our department, which unfortunately I don't feel the sheriff's department is very transparent at this particular time. Um, I can only train the officer to do it. You know, you get the officer, you give them the best training possible for them to do the job that needs to get done, and you get out there and you hope that they're doing what they need to do as far as to maintain the law, maintain integrity, because integrity is everything on the job, as far as I'm concerned. Um, and accountability, we have to start holding ourselves and the officers accountable for their actions. Some may not like it, but it's something that has to happen. We have to start holding each other accountable for our actions. So, me saying that, if an officer has any, if I have an officer, or excuse me, a deputy, I have a deputy that's in the wrong, he or she will be held accountable for their actions. Um, and that comes from senior management as well, having a senior management in line. You know, I want to get ahead of any type of situations that may play out. I want to make sure we vet the right people to do the job as being a Dallas County deputy sheriff, because you got to realize we're in a position where we can affect an arrest, and we can actually, um, as making an arrest, we affect people's lives, and that has to be taken with all costs. You have to protect that at all costs. I can take your freedom away, and God forbid, it could be a deadly force situation. Obviously, as long as it's justified, but that's a lot of responsibility for one person to have on them, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. I have to restructure the Dallas County Sheriffs to be more transparent. I have to I have to restructure them to have accountability. Which is not the easiest thing to do. And obviously, I got a lot of work ahead of me. But I feel with my team, the team that I'm putting together, we're definitely gonna be able to do it.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's all about putting in the work and being a visionary. Having a vision,
Hmm.
having the capacity, having the people in place to put in the work. It's all about change. That's the title of today's podcast is about change. And you mentioned, are you ready for change?
Exactly. You need new
Implementing
blood.
implementing different things, building the morale. We have a lot of people complaining about the morale. The morale is down. When you want to come to work, you want to come to work, even though you want to be about your business when you come to work, but at the same time, you want to be able to come and enjoy work, enjoy the camaraderie with your co-workers, and make work meaningful instead of say, "Oh,
Mhm.
I'm going to work tonight. Oh, I got to go to work today," dragging, feeling beat down, the morale is low, and if the morale is low, the job's not gonna get done. And at the end of the day, the job has to get done because we have men, women, children who are in our custody that we have to care, custody, and control about.
Exactly. Um, Morale definitely is low with the Dallas County Sheriff. I've actually had the opportunity to talk to a few detention officers. They've been telling me their stories, and I feel so bad. Unfortunately, I wish I was already in office. Um, you want to feel wanted. You want to feel appreciated when you come to work. You want to know that, hey, you did a good job. Obviously, we all know the job that we get sworn in, the job that we need to do. Obviously, is care and custody of detainees that are housed at the Dallas County Jail. But you want to feel wanted. You want to feel that the department has your back if you have to take a stance on something. Um, you don't want to just come to work and just get browbeated every day. Intimidation used through senior management that makes it very difficult and very awkward for you want to come to work. And that's one thing I will be working on is definitely working on the morale. And also part of that morale situation is the fact that you have such a high turnover with the sheriff's department because the more you get 12, you get 10 officers, you may lose 4 or 5, and that's only because of the environment that they're working in, and that definitely needs to change. You know, Officers are unfortunately getting assaulted by detainees, and there's no investigation that's being conducted. Why aren't we taking these staff assaults, getting charges, getting these detainees charged? Well, because the CID unit for the sheriff's department feels that those charges are not going to go anywhere. Well, my thing is this: I don't care if one of my officers get assaulted. There's going to be a charge. We're going to put a charge on that detainee. Let the DA's office do their job. If they want to drop the charges, then that's what it is. But the CID unit will file charges against that detainee for assault on a staff member. So if we don't have charges on these detainees for assault on staff members, what message are we sending to our detention officers? So what type of work environment are we making now? We're making a very hostile work environment. We're making a very unsafe environment, as well as we're telling the detainees, hey, y'all can do whatever y'all want to do because nothing is going to get done to you. Nothing is going to happen to you, and that's a bad message to be put out. And then you have the senior management that doesn't. Me personally, they don't really care about the officers. Come in, get the paycheck, and go on home. You got to interact with your officers. You have to let them know I'm here. I care about you. What's going on? How y'all doing? And that's something that my senior staff will be actually going around. They're going to know who Rodney Thomas is. Trust and believe. They're going to know who I am. I've heard some of the detention officers said if they hadn't seen a picture of the current sheriff, they wouldn't know who she is, and
True.
that's that. And I'm sure you've heard that as well. And that's not a good look. That's not a good look at all.
Right, and that's what would come down to where people now are, like I said, they're feeling delayed. They feel that they're not feeling appreciated, not feeling wanted. You should have to know who your people are, and I see that a lot of times where I came from, where I didn't even see the sheriff. Only time I seen the sheriff when I passed the graduate. It was when I was back at home when we passed the academy, or when you made 5 years, 10, 15. That's the only time you see them. But come to the jail, no, they never come to the jail. Only time they would come to the jail is when the news camera hit. That's the only time you ever see them. But you don't never see them. And if they do see you when there's a camera there, they'll look at your name. They'll look at your shirt just to see your name. Like
Exactly.
they really know you, and they don't even know you at all. They have to look at your name on your shirt to see your name.
Yeah, and that's a sad thing because if your employees see you interacting, now I will be the type of sheriff where I'll go to intake, I'll start patting people down. I'll start working the process. I'll deal with fingerprinting because I would never ask anyone to do anything that I wouldn't do myself.
Right.
You know, and that builds camaraderie. Oh, Sheriff Thomas, he's always down there patting people down and doing fingerprinting, doing escorts to the housing units. I have no problem because that lets my officers know I care and we're going to do this together.
That's it.
You know, and also I'm big on employee appreciation. You know, I've been looking at other sheriff's departments around the country. They have great employee appreciation programs, and that's something I would definitely implement on a monthly basis. You'll recognize a detention officer for the good work that they did. You know, maybe give them gift certificates. You know, let them know that we care about them. You know, maybe give them a $500 bonus. You know, just letting them know, hey, we care about you. We care about the work that you're doing. Good job. Keep doing it. And I promise you, we start working in that manner. Officers are going to come to work. They're going to want to come to work. They're going to want to be there because they like being there. You know, I've heard about the conditions in the cafeteria are horrible. You know, that's something I want to get better. You know, the overnight staff get better vending machines with better food in there for them. You know what I mean? That will allow them to continue on doing the work that needs to get done.
Right.
You know, but like I said, you have to actually care about detention. You have to actually want to do good for them. You know, because right now detention is not on the top of the list for the sheriff's department. They concentrate a little bit more on the road. We have the road, we have the courts, we have the jails, we you know, we have regular law enforcement. That's why you put the right people in play to make sure the job is getting done. You know, but you know, I can go on and on about detention of everything I really want to do with detention as far as making a better work environment. You know, because I have a lot of out of the box thinking, and like I said, are you ready for change? Is really I'm very serious about are you ready for change because there needs to be new blood. We need new blood, right? Because the current blood ain't working.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's not working. Like we talked before, recruitment, out of the box thinking. Go to New York to John Jay to their criminal justice day fair. Go to UCLA in California. You know, let's start targeting outside of Dallas. You know, because it may be appealing. You know, for someone where you have the highest taxes in the country to come and work in Dallas, where you only have federal taxes.
That's true.
You know, that'd be a huge for somebody. And obviously, I want to increase the salary from the 47 to 52,000. And like I said, give an incentive bonus, whether it be 3,000, maybe to be four, maybe to be six, but give people a reason to want to come and work for the Dallas County Sheriff Detention Bureau.
Right.
You got to make it very appealing for them to want to come here.
Oh yeah, you got to make it. As they say, you got to make it sexy for them. And that's what it's all about. But we're gonna take a quick break on Rodney quick. Like I said, we are live streaming right now on Twitter. We're live streaming right now on Facebook and YouTube. We're gonna give a big shout out to everybody to the comment section. Big shout out to my sister Shay, Coach Shay. Big shout out to the Quan. Big shout out to Latoya as well. That's in the comment section. We thank everybody for tuning in. Big shout. Oh, thank you to Quan for the stars. By the way, get the hearts up, the thumbs up. Get the stars up as well. And we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be right back here with Rodney Thomas.
Yes, sir.
Get to the inside.
And you know what, Twila, you said something interesting. You said take action earlier. And that's what we lack. Also, the action part. See the results. We talk it, but then when it comes to putting in the work, and I know what you're saying, this is not no one and done. This has to be a lifestyle that we have to develop. They say we are creatures of habit, and we have developed habits along the ways, good habits, bad habits, you name it. But we develop these habits along the way, and I like when you say it takes action because, like I said, this is the first month of 2023. You go to the gym right now, the gym is full. Everybody have all these things they want to do. Then when February hit, go right. You may have some who stay persistent with it. Then you got some who just go back to their reality, go back to who they are, and we'll say it is what it is. This is who I am. Nothing never works for me, but you have to, like you said, action. Put in the work, and that's what we have to do. We have to put in the work. If we're not putting in the work, we're just playing ourselves, and we're just wasting our own time.
Right. And so, you talked about we can start off great and then we fall back into our old habits. Well, oftentimes it's easy to fall back. So you have at that moment when okay, I am getting ready to make this choice to eat whatever it is. I'm getting ready to make this choice and tell myself something negative. You have to quickly get out of that. Change the thought process right in that moment. Because if you are, and I just go back to health and body image because that's like the big thing always in January. If everyone is going to the gym,
What's up, everybody? We're back here on Walking This Way's Impact Was podcast. I'm your host, Fermin Jackson Jr. I'm the CEO and founder of Walking This Ways, and you've seen it on the commercial. Are you ready for change? This is January 14th. This is 2023.
Yes, sir.
We still in the first month of 2023 in January. Are you ready for change? You hear people say they're ready for change. We talked about this last week on the podcast. Everybody have their New Year resolution. They want to do all this stuff. They want to hit the gym, or they want to, improve on their job. They want to improve in their business. They want to go learn different things. They have all these expectations, and then we allow expectations to go away. We go right back to our reality. So the question is this morning: are you ready for change? And I have my guest here, who's the example of change. His goal is to be sheriff for 2024 here in the DFW, Dallas County. Great man. We interact with each other on social media. We finally made it connect, and I thank you for taking time out the schedule to be here with me this morning. We know that Rodney, even though you're running for next year, we know towards the end of 23 going to 24, I know it's going to be crunch time for you, where you really going to be, I don't want to say busy, but really occupied, because that's a very stepping stone in your career, for a sheriff and stuff like that. So, like I said, you implemented change. So the groundwork. When you're first elected, I'm gonna ask you this: when you're first elected in office, what is your first thing that you have already in mind? The first thing you want to do on the first day?
Well, the first thing that's funny, I was talking to some of the guys that I'm actually looking at for potential senior management. First 100 days of office, we need to obviously work on recruitment on the detention side, because all of the work and everything that we need to take care of the jail, we need manpower to do it. So first and foremost, we're going to start working on recruitment, seeing how we can retain some new detention officers as well as retain the ones that we already have, and do an assessment. We're going to do about maybe a two month assessment, maybe a 3 month assessment of the jails before we start making any type of changes. And once we take care of the assessments, then we start going into getting the funding to pretty much take care of the mattresses. From my understanding, the blood soil mattresses. We need to change out the mattresses. We need to get the food back on point. We need to take care of the doors that are non operational. There are about 500 doors, and that I think it's about 500 doors that have to be repaired. That's going to take time. So we have a lot on our plate for the first 100 days. But initially, I need to do an assessment of the jail, find out what's what, and consult with my senior management, because I have two guys that I'm looking at to actually be my chief and my chief of detention. And we have to make sure that we're structured as to how we systematically are going to start restructuring detention. So my first 100 days is going to be very important for assessment purposes, and to start getting some of these funding so we can start cleaning up the jail, sanitize it properly, and also try to move out some of the detainees that have pending charges through the state or through the federal. And
Right.
that's a major part. Whoever has pending charges, let's get them out to jail. Let's get them. If they got federal pending charges, let's get them to the feds. You need me to transport them to you? I'll transport them to you. State pending charges, let's get them to the state, because we need to clean up the jail. And then also have to coordinate with the courts as well, because we have a lot of felony warrants, things of that nature that have to be taken care of. So there's a lot of coordination on my end on my first 100 days. But initially, I need to get into recruitment, because we were down quite a bit of officers. And to be honest, for the amount of work that needs to take place at the jail, we don't have the man we won't have the manpower.
Yeah, and most definitely, like I said, the job that we do, it's not hard. It's really not.
Mm,
It's really easy. You know, we have people that make it hard, but the job is not hard. Just have everything implemented in place. The leadership has to get better. The communication has to get better, and that's another thing we struggle with too. The communication. Nobody does not communicate at all. You got this supervisor don't know what's going on. This supervisor don't know what's going on, and you have a big mess going on. There's no communication at all. None of that stuff. It's really
yeah,
bad.
and that's another thing. Communication is also key, and that goes down to, like I said, senior management being engaged with the rest of the staff. I've heard there have been issues where you don't see senior staff, the lieutenants and the captains, null and void. You don't see them, and that definitely would change under my preview. That would definitely change. Like I said, I will be holding everyone accountable as well as myself. So there will be no walking around not doing what you need to do, hiding in your office. You're gonna get out there. Your officer is going to see you as well as on the street. Senior management will be out in the street. They will be out there not just to see if a deputy's doing wrong, but you got to get out there and see how your officers are working. Be out there, assist on the car stop. Um, Let them know you care about them, as well as the road deputy, because the road deputies, I hear a lot of stories from the road deputies as well. They don't see they don't see senior management. They don't see the lieutenants on their car stops when they have possible car stops, and that's not good. So my senior management will be more progressive. They will be more engaging um, with the officers in a positive way. Uh, I hear so many stories of, especially in the jail, with the intimidation factor with the management, and that's definitely going to change. That has to change. There's no way. Why would I want to come to work and be intimidated? So that's why we have our huge turnovers that we have now.
Hmm.
You know, but I feel if I'm making the first move to step out there into the open, and be engaging with not just my officers but with the community, everybody else has to follow suit. Everyone has to follow suit. And I have big shoulders. I have no problems carrying the Dallas County Sheriff's on my shoulders. But like I said, also, I'm surrounding myself by a team of superheroes. I talk to them all the time, and I said, I got a number of superheroes working around me, and the key thing is I'm bringing people that are smarter than I am to accomplish this goal of restructuring the Dallas County Sheriffs. It's not just me. Um, I will feed off of their ideas. We'll feed off of my ideas, and then also in reference to detention, I want to bring in some of the senior officers from detention to be a part of the restructuring of the Dallas County Sheriff's Department Detention Bureau because they've been there the longest. They know the ins and outs, and they can tell me what I need to know. And then also, that's look what that's building. The senior officer, hey, can actually say I was a part of the restructure of the Dallas County Sheriffs because they'll be part of my assessment team as far as what needs to be done in the jails. What actions do we need to take? Obviously, I have the last say, but I think it's paramount to get advice from your senior officers, and then it lets them know that you care about how they feel about decisions as well.
Right. And that's the one that I asked you too about cross training for those inside the jail. You know, when people get put in these different duties in the jail, they get frightened, they get intimidated because we never really been exposed to cross training. So would that be some mandatory for those in detention to start doing cross training, learn different things inside the jail?
I think it's great to learn something new. You don't stay stagnant in the same spot.
Right.
I actually want to bring in a gang intelligence unit. I'm actually surprised that the Dallas County Sheriff doesn't have a gang intelligence division with inside the jail,
Mm.
and that I think that is huge to have because the coordination and the networking is awesome to have. Whereas whatever's going on in the street, it's obviously is going on in the jail, and the jail, whoever's locked up can actually tell you what's going on outside. Surprisingly, but
Right.
I want to bring in a gang intelligence unit that actually conducts gang intel investigations. Also, have the detention officers cross designated for a peace officer because I want them to actually be a part of the arrest team to actually perform rearrest on detainees that actually commit staff assaults or staff on other detainees, and then also to coordinate with other law enforcement agencies throughout the country. Having a gang intel unit is extremely important with inside the jail because you also get to categorize what we call SRG security risk groups.
Hmm.
So you get to categorize if this particular person who has gang affiliation will be a threat to daily operations with inside the jail. So you know how to actually, if we need to separate this particular person, not put him in general pop, because we have guys from Tango Blast,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Or we
yeah,
may
yeah.
have guys from the Mexican Mafia, or we may have guys from Bloods and Crips. You don't want to put this guy who's Tango Blast in with Mexican Mafia guys,
Hmm.
or you don't want to put him in there with guys from TS, from Texas Syndicate, things of that nature. You don't want to, you want to separate this because that's how trouble starts. That's how you get your uprisings. And then we got a situation that we have to go into possibly a riot control type situation, which I always want to avoid with all costs.
Right. And because we know that's important, and to really just implement that stuff to get structure. Structure is important.
Hmm.
Having the structure, knowing. So, like I said, at the end of the day, I know you want your officers to go home safe.
Same way they came in.
You don't want to have to call a loved one to say such such has been injured or such has got. You know what I'm saying? Who wants to make that type
Yeah,
of phone call to a family member? Because I know
yeah.
as you being a sheriff, you have to do all that stuff. Like, oh man, I got to go and tell this family what happened to their loved one at work, and because
Well,
something could be avoided.
yeah. It's like I said, it's all it's just out of. I think it's just common sense thinking, and then having the experience, working in the jails. I actually want to supply detention officers with low bearing vests with plate carriers. Let that be a part of their everyday wear. Um, Unfortunately, the detainees are not. They're not. Some of them not trustworthy, and then taking a knife to the back or into your kidneys is not a fun thing to do.
Right.
So I want to be able to supply the detention officers with low bearing vests with plate carriers, just as an added protection. It may be a little bit extra gear for them, but it's protecting them. And like I said, I want every officer to come in and go home the same way they came in, safe, and so they can come back and do the same job again the next day.
Yeah.
So, like I said, structure is everything, and also with inside the jails, you have to start letting the detainees know who actually is in control of the jail. So you have to actually we have to actually start taking the jail back in the right manner. I'm not talking about going into the cells, knocking detainees out, things of that nature, but we have to show that we're strong. Right now, they're not as strong as they can be, and unfortunately, that's due to leadership. But I want to get into the jail. I want to start taking the jail back in a positive manner. Also, we have an issue with some of our detainees that have mental episodes,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So that's been a huge thing throughout jails throughout the country. So me personally, I would like to actually the unit is a crisis intervention unit where our detention officers they're in different clothing. They're not wearing the same navy blue uniforms that the regular officers wear, but something a little softer.
Hmm.
Polo shirts, khaki pants, and they will actually approach the detainee that's having a mental episode and basically reiterating what the detention officer wanted them to do initially, right? But now we have someone else that has talking a little softer. The uniform is a little softer, but they're still getting the same job done, but not with the demand part with the uniform, with the brass on things of that nature. Because if a person's having a mental episode, um, you see all of this brass on them, and it can actually enhance the situation a lot more than where it needs to be.
Right.
If you have
Right.
someone coming in without the brass on, softer clothing, it actually makes a big difference. So I want to actually put a crisis intervention unit together with inside the jail to actually address any detainees that might be having mental some type of mental event going on. So those are some of the things that I'm working on, which we definitely can incorporate with inside the jail. I don't see that being hard to create. But like I said, it's just out of the box thinking to make the environment more conducive for our detention officers as well as the detainees that are being housed there.
Yeah, because that stuff is important. Because working with mental mentally ill inmates is a whole different
It's
ball
a
game.
different ball game. Yes,
They're
it is.
not. They're not. You're not dealing with nobody who's in general population whose
Mm-hmm.
mind is right. We're actually dealing with those who have mental episodes, and it's a certain way we have to talk to them too. Yeah, 'cause a lot of times you have to talk them down. You got to talk to them like, "Cherry, you just can't go and
Yeah,
cuss them, man, because they just gonna flip." But the way you talk to them and how you get your point across, and
it's
you have to
everything.
talk to them like children. And then another thing too is we have issues where we know some don't need to be in general population. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
Some only need to be in a 24-man tank. Someone need to be isolated because they don't know how to function.
Around the general
And
population,
right,
yes.
that's how we end up having these altercations. Inmate has to go out to the hospital. How can we fix? We want to fix all that too, because we got to tell them, hey, we know this cat right here does not need to be with other inmates because the inmates get tired of him. He don't bathe. They complaining. Before you know it, he getting jumped on, and now we got to do all these report writing for something that could have been avoided.
That comes from being progressive, actually talking to your staff, and actually interacting with your staff that deals with psychological events. You have a Parkland is where the Dallas County Sheriff take their individuals that are having mental episodes. They have a ward in Parkland Hospital. So me personally, why not get more involved with the psychological unit, where we can have an on-staff psychologist there? I'm not sure if they have one now. That actually we actually find out exactly what's going on with the individuals that have mental episodes, which has been an issue right now, from my understanding, with the state. We're waiting for state beds um, to transfer these individuals to the state hospitals, which that's I've been hearing that over a year now. So I'm not exactly sure how true that is because I can't get any accountability and transparency with the open request right now.
Right.
So, but that's what I've been hearing, that they're waiting for state beds to start transporting some of our detainees that may have some type of mental issues. So I obviously feel that's probably something that I would probably be still dealing with when I get elected. I will inherit uh, the issues that the Dallas County Sheriff has because I got 14 months to my primary,
Okay.
okay, which is March 5th, 2024.
Yeah,
Then
that'd
after
be
winning the primary, then we go to the general, which is in November 5th, 2024. Then I get sworn in January 1st, 2025.
nice.
So whatever issues that are going on with the jail now, I'm pretty sure I will inherit it when I get in office.
Yeah, and I know you will be prepared for all that. I mean,
Indeed,
I mean,
indeed,
you be,
as prepared as can be. Yes, definitely.
right. You coming in, and I know once you come over to the jail, I know you're gonna get bombarded with a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of questions, a lot of concerns. What's gonna be different. You hear, like I said, you hear a lot of officers they gonna do 12-hour shifts. I did 12-hour shifts
Mhm.
back in, like I told you before I got on the air. I did 12-hour shifts for 8 years before I transitioned here. So I'm used to it doing the 12 hours. You hear a lot of officers they want to do 12 hours. And that's another thing too. We have a lot of younger that HR is hiring a lot of young people, hiring a lot of
Mhm.
people fresh out of high school. So what they want to do? They used to having weekends.
Right.
So they coming in, you tell them, well, you're not gonna be able to get weekends off. You have to be off during the weekday. So now that's the issue now because now they were like, I don't want. Well, why need to? I don't want to take this job. Or I'm finna. No, I'm finna find something else.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? You're not gonna get everything they want on the job, but I feel the
Right,
12-hour shift is actually a really good thing because you have time for family time.
right.
Especially if you're working every other weekend. It's not like you're working. As when I started as a rookie, I worked the weekends. That's
Oh,
just
you
what it
had
was.
to. Yeah,
There was no choice. You work weekends, but if you don't want it, then you don't take the job.
that's true.
But here we are, 12-hour shifts. Hey, every other weekend you have off. And like I said, if you put 2 days of you take 2 days of vacation, you got a nice little week,
You do.
and you come back refreshed. And my biggest thing is family time. Uh, you know, at the beginning, I heard that a lot of the officers were doing 5 days, 16-hour shifts, which is crazy. Um, there's no family time. You go home, you got to get right back up, and then
Right,
driving home, you're tired, and then you leave yourself open for, God forbid, some type of car accident because you're so tired from working at the jail.
right.
Well, here we are. Let's get to 12-hour shifts. Let's get to rotating weekends. Initially, if you've never done it before, you may have an issue with it, but then your body gets used to the fact that you do the 12, you do let's say you do your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You're off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's something to look forward to, and your body gets used to it pretty quickly. And I can't see too many people complaining about it once we get it actually get the 12-hour shift going. I think they're gonna like it because they're like, I got 3 days coming to me. I just gotta get through these 4 days. Or now we're on the second day. Now you're on the third day. Now you're on that fourth day. Hey, at the end of the shift, I ain't gonna see you guys to the following week or whatever. So
Right.
I think it'll be really. I think it'll work well. It just has to. Everyone just has to get used to it, and you know, also every shift, things that are going on in jail may not require a 12-hour shift. We may still have to keep an 8-hour shift as well, or
Mhm.
maybe even we may have to keep a 10-hour shift. Due to the fact of the activity that goes on with inside the Dallas County Sheriff's three jails. We have different operations going on, so we may not be able to do 12. This may require a 10-hour shift, or that
Right.
might require an 8-hour shift. But I'm actually open to exploring. I've actually been exploring different shifts from other correctional facilities throughout the country, looking at their schedules, how they work, and see if we can possibly mirror that with the Dallas County Sheriffs.
Yeah, 'cause I know where I work at within the tower. One of the towers is considered the smaller jail. That's your mental health. So that's considered the smallest jail
Mhm.
there. Compared to like the other jail that's got more inmates.
Right,
We had it's not that many, just a lot of mental inmates. So they consider that the small part of the jail because not many of us that work over there.
right. Um, with the jails, I think the North Towers, I think is the biggest one.
Yeah, that's the biggest one.
That's the biggest one.
They had like 6 officers that work the floor over there. Where I'm at, it's like four officers.
Okay. Yeah, because Ty, we got intake as well.
Right.
Well, it was that's a mess in itself.
Yeah.
Intake issues another that's another situation. Um, but I think the 12s are definitely going to work out well. Everyone just has to get acclimated to the change. At the beginning, no one is happy about change, especially the change that they didn't ask for. But the restructuring change is going to take place.
Yeah.
It's going to take place. It has to take place, and it's only to enhance the work environment for the DSOs.
Hmm.
It's only to enhance that. Like I said, I'm just looking to enhance what's already there, make it better, which we definitely can. Bringing the staff that we're going to bring in. My other thing is intake. It's a little. I've actually talked to a few chiefs uh, within DFW, and their biggest problem is the fact that when they make an arrest, when they go down to Lou Starrett, their officers lost for like 6 hours because of the process is so long to process their prisoner. And that's another thing I'll be working on as far as to expedite the process for intake when outside agencies bring in prisoners to speed up that process. I know the medical staff is a bit of an issue with that as well. So I have to deal with the medical staff to get them on board. Uh, Possibly maybe change of supervision with inside the intake um, to get a more progressive, more expedited um, plan to get these prisoners processed in, get them into a housing unit, and let these officers get back onto the street to protecting their cities.
Yeah. And that's what's up right there. Like I said, let the games begin. I know it's a lot of work, but
Yeah,
one day at a time. What is it? One day at a
one
time.
day at a time. We can only take. I can only deal with one crisis at a time. But
Right. Right.
I think my biggest leg up is the fact that I'm talking to my potential senior management. We talk on a regular basis. We're putting plans together. So is this nothing is foreign when we come in January 1st, 2025. Because I already told everybody, I'd say, hey, we're gonna take pictures. We're gonna get everybody gets sworn in. We do the picture time, and then after that, game on. It's time to get busy. It's time to get to work.
That's it.
It's time to get to work. And they laughed at me, and I'm like, no, I'm serious. We're gonna January 1st. We will be working. We'll be in the war room putting plans together. Like I said, the first 100 days are very, very important, and we have some milestones that we have to accomplish in our first 100 days of being in office.
Yeah, and that's what's up right there. And just really like I said, that first 100 days, I know there's gonna be a lot of working
Yes, it will.
for the first 100 days,
Mm-hmm.
re-implementing everything. That's another thing I want to ask that too before we get off the air, brushing up on the policies. Not too many people are familiar with the policy. They're not familiar with the SOPs and stuff like that. Really, for employees, so that should be implemented too. Reading up on our policy, reading up on the things that we have in our rights. A lot of people don't know that they have power within those policies if they
If they
implement the
actually read
policies
them,
right.
yeah. In reference to policies and procedures, I'm actually looking to create a legal division within the sheriff's department that will address all of our any issues that take place on the road side as well as the detention side. So that all goes with the doing our assessment of the department and seeing what policies we need to actually to upgrade basically. Um, and like I said, our legal division, once I hopefully get it all together, our legal will be very instrumental in restructuring our policies and procedures because there needs to be some updates um, that that go along with the restructuring of the department. Reference to internal investigations. I actually want to put a legal division that actually operations division that deals with our warrants that are being executed on the roadside. But we also have a professional compliance and standard unit that actually deals with administrative breaches. Basically, any sheriff employee that actually breaches administrative policy, that would be that an internal investigation would be launched as to what policies were violated, and then from there on, we go through an assessment. If the officer may get days off, or will this be something that may be a prosecution type case, or unfortunately, if this person we may have to let this particular officer go. But professional compliance and standards unit will conduct all administrative investigations, which I believe is paramount to have with your department. And it builds structure, and it also lets employees know there's a standard that you must work by. Dallas County Sheriff's policy procedures. If you violate any of these policy procedures, there will be, unfortunately, consequences for those actions, whether it be termination, whether it be days in the street. But we definitely will be conducting administrative investigations.
Oh, yeah.
Once I'm in office, not off the back, but you need administrative investigations to regulate your department.
Right.
So that's one of the things I'm looking into, creating our own legal division that works directly for the sheriff's department.
Man, that's what's up right there. And also the chain of command. The
Chain of command
is important. You cannot jump the chain. And we have people who have really been doing it recently. They've been jumping the chain.
Well, there's no accountability. That's why. You're not holding anybody accountable for. There's no reason for you if you have issues. Now, mind you, if you have an issue with a sergeant, obviously you got to go to the lieutenant. But just to jump over your sergeant because you feel you got a better rapport with the lieutenant, that we can't have. You have an issue, take it to your sergeant. Sergeant can't handle it, then you go to the LT, and after LT, then you take it up to chain of command. But you don't just jump. You just don't jump people just because you feel you have, depend. But obviously, honestly, if it's an extreme situation, if you have to, I can understand. But normally, go through your sergeant, go through your lieutenant, and vice versa.
Yeah, I have a question there too. When they dealing with the chain of command and they dealing with all this paperwork. So you'll be the last final say so.
It depends on. I mean, I would know pretty much everything that's going on, but that's why I have staff in play. If it's something that an officer deals with, change of shift, things of that nature, you could deal with your sergeant, you could deal with your lieutenant on. Obviously, if it's more serious issues where the captain is involved, then you may have to bring in the assistant chief. And then if the assistant chief feels that I need to be involved, he'll bring the chief in, and then chief will bring me in if it needs to go that far. But I don't see where it would actually go that far. I think any issues most likely would stay along the lines of the sergeant and lieutenants.
Okay, but you will know what's going on.
I will know. Yeah, definitely. Okay. I'll know what's going on, but I don't necessarily have to chime in all the time.
Right.
That's why you have your staff to handle those situations.
Yeah, it makes sense. I know you have the what do they have? The sheriff letter, this sheriff letter. I know I see that too when they write I guess they write a letter to you when they do this sheriff letter. How did that work?
As far as when they're leaving or
they do like a dear sheriff letter. Don't you see that too?
Any type of resignations I definitely will see. Resignation letters, obviously termination letters, we'll definitely see that because I have to sign off on all those. But yeah, I'll see everything that needs to be seen. But like I said, I'll leave it up to my senior management majority of the time to handle the day-to-day operations.
Okay, awesome stuff.
Yeah, but I'm still in the mix. At the end of the day, I'm still in the mix. I still want to know what's going on. But like I said, you put people in play to handle those situations effectively.
Right. I mean, yeah, because it's your organization, so you got to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you said, you got the right people in the right place to be able to execute, do the things properly, so it won't be no chaos. I know
exactly. Like I said, I'm dealing with individuals that know more than I do, and I have no issues with them knowing more than I do because it just makes the job that much easier to do, and it allows for the operations to run smoothly.
Right. Yeah, that's it right there.
Yes, sir.
So we pressed for time. I know everybody ready off the air. This was the very first Saturday edition here on Walking This Way Impact with Podcast. Once again, thank Rodney Thomas for being here, being my first guest on
Thank
the
you for
Saturday
having me. I
morning. You
appreciate it.
welcome.
It's fun.
Oh, no problem. It was fun. I really enjoyed listening to
Yes,
you
sir.
and your vision and stuff. Before we get off the air, go
Sure.
ahead and plug in how people can get in contact with you, how can they support you.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can definitely get in contact with me. www.rodneyforsheriff2024.com. www.rodneyforsheriff2024.com. You can go right to the website, and it'll actually lead you onto the other icons for Facebook, Instagram, and I'm out. I'm always out and about. I'm always out, either, hitting the pavement. I'm always in South Dallas, so please, my number's on the back. You can always reach me on that as well. So please don't hesitate to contact me. I need your support so I can make this election happen and win this election in 2024 for Dallas County Sheriff. So thank you, everybody who has supported me, and please keep supporting me. And thank you, Mr. Furman Jackson, for having me on the show. I definitely had a great time, and I look forward to do it again.
Oh, most definitely. No, never be a stranger. I know I know I'm out of your jurisdiction because I'm in Terra County. So
That's all right. It's all good.
yes, I know I won't be able to do the voting because I'm in Terra County, which is all good. Like it's all good. I still work at the job, of course, and I'm very excited rooting for you as well.
Thank you so
Like I
much.
said, y'all heard it here first. If you're in the Dallas County jurisdiction, whatever, get your vote, get prepared for this. Learn more about office too, ladies and gentlemen. Those who listening, learn about the people that's in office. Learn about what's going on. Don't be just closed minded. Be open minded. Be open to change and ask questions. And they say no. They say what they say. No question is not a dumb question.
There's no dumb question.
Right.
It's just like people ask me that really don't know what the sheriff does. And I actually should have said that early on. Like I said, the sheriff is the chief law enforcement in the county. We have 32 cities. I have jurisdiction in all 32 cities of Dallas County. We take care of the jails, we take care of the 24 courts, and we also affect regular law enforcement. We do car stops, we can do investigations. So we are a true law enforcement agency. And the sheriff, Rodney Thomas will be the sheriff in 2025. So get ready for that.
That's what's up right there. Like I said, man, y'all have a great Saturday. And remember the graveyard. Remember, everybody had one thing in common. They were going to see tomorrow. And they did. Remember, let's live life every day like it's our last. And most importantly, be about your business. Be about your purpose. Just love you. That's the most important thing. Love you, cherish you, respect you, value you. Learn or be open-minded. Learn different things. Enjoy life. You know what I'm saying? We should have a victorious life, a meaningful life. Life don't mean to be suck. Some people live a suck life, but you don't have to live a suck life. You live a very meaningful life. And I just want to say, listen to you, Rodney. You really motivated me just listening to you.
Thank you.
Because you're doing something that you love to do. That's what we love to have here on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
People that doing something they love to do. And you ignited something in my spirit, my brother, as well. Just listen to
Appreciate that. Thank you.
It's like maybe step my game up, when it comes to my business as well. Also, so I appreciate you, my brother, as well.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Much respect to you.
Yes, sir.
Y'all enjoy y'all weekend. We're gonna be back here next week here on Walking This Way Impact with Podcast. We're gonna be back here 7:00 Tuesday night. There will not be a Wednesday show. Wednesday night, I'm gonna be a featured guest on another podcast Wednesday night. So we're not gonna do a Wednesday show, but we will be back next Saturday, same time here on the podcast as well. And by the way, we're gonna start doing a lot of things. We're gonna start doing a lot of commercials. That's another thing too. If you have commercials, you have any music videos, you have any commercials for your business, we would love to play them here on the podcast. But there will be a fee, of course. So like I said, it's all about taking it to another level. I get asked all the time, why you not getting paid for this? And I said, I just love to do it.
You love what you do.
Yeah, this man said, no, you need to change that. You need to start getting paid for what you do. So, thank God for the blessing. So,
there you go.
I love what I do. Most important thing is about being a perfectionist, working the spirit of excellence, and that's what it's all about. But man, but before I go, right, you got any final remarks?
like I said, please, everyone, I need the support. March 4th, 2025 is my first primary, and I'm looking to win that primary, obviously, but I need the support. So donations are definitely great, definitely very appreciated. $1, $5, whatever your heart desires. Please support the cause for the campaign for Dallas County Sheriff. And I'm working for Dallas County residents. I always say that the position is not mine. It belongs to the Dallas County residents, and I'm going to treat it as such.
Man, that's what's up right there. So hey man, y'all get on y'all A game and be about y'all business in 2023 and support Rodney, those that's in the Dallas County jurisdiction. Y'all support.
Please.
To see and then I make a race thing, but it's good to see a man in color that's taking that position, taking that role.
Yes,
You know, that's enough said by itself. So, man, y'all really, man, enjoy y'all weekend. And like I said, we'll be back here next week here on Walking This Way Impact with Podcast. I'm your host, Furman Jackson Jr. I'm the CEO and founder of Walking This Ways. And by the way, you know, I got representing the Cowboys. They're going to the playoffs. They are in the playoffs.
I'm a Giants fan. I'm a diehard Giant fan. I can't leave my Giants. So
I mean, hey, we still cool. But anyway, but y'all in the playoffs too. So.
Yes, sir, we are. So yeah, you can't get rid of us. We're going somewhere. Trust me.
All right, then. So y'all have a great day, and I take care, y'all. See y'all next week here on the podcast.
Yeah.
Wait, Impact.
God bless.
Everybody.